Welcome back to Torn Apart News, the only place on the internet where we tear the news apart bit by bit until we can finally adapt every single facet of the Joker's life. Tune in next year where we finally adapt Joker goes out shopping and comes home with just a packet of tissues. Do you remember that comic? It doesn't exist, but we'll still adapt it because why not?
What do you get?
I don't think so.
When you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash!
Call the police,
I'll
Gene.
tell you what you get!
Call the police.
You get what you fucking deserve!
No! God, please, no! No!
Thank you for being back here, and yes, we will be talking about Joker stuff, but first of all, let's go down into a bit of a wrap-up when it comes to CinemaCon. There were so many trailers being released the past week, so many rumors, so many things being discussed on Twitter. So I was like, let's have a look at what was not publicly released and what is probably gonna be coming out through different marketing strategies in the next few weeks/months. So apparently it's CinemaCon, across the different panels, they got a look at some footage from the movie Trap, which is M. Night Shyamalan's new movie, which is supposed to come out before the end of the year. They showed some footage for Smile 2, Sonic 3, Wolfman as well, Mickey 17, which is Bong Joon-ho's film, which was supposed to come out this year. They also show some footage from Ballerina, which is a John Wick spin-off starring Ana de Armas. They also showed a sneak peek of Nosferatu and Gladiator 2. I honestly can't wait for all of these films to be teased for the public overall, either through trailers or posters, because all of these things get me really excited for the future of cinema. And now for the trailers that actually were released and we got a chance to see them and analyze them and get excited about these new releases. Let's talk about Joker stuff. Joker Folie Deux. We finally have, of course, a poster because we talked about it last week, but we also have a trailer, and let's have a look at it. There is still a lot of secrets going on when it comes to this film. In fact, we still don't have a synopsis. We don't really know what this is going to be about, even though we can already glimpse some things just by looking at this trailer. First of all, this seems like this is going to be a bit of a sucker punch interpretation of this story where they're going to be imagining weird stuff, and it's going to come through the imagination of Arthur Fleck, aka the Joker, and these are the musical numbers that people were referring to when they were describing this movie, because yes, apparently this was gonna be a musical, but Todd Phillips actually came out through different interviews saying that this is not a musical, this is just a film starring a couple of musical numbers, and it's relying quite heavily on a karaoke soundtrack that probably resembles Guardians of the Galaxy quite a lot. So it's basically like one of those films that doesn't want to be called a musical because it hates musicals a little bit too much. But I'm pretty sure that Joker and Harley Quinn are gonna fall in love, of course, and they're probably gonna escape from Arkham Asylum, or they're gonna imagine their escape from Arkham Asylum. We don't really know exactly what's real and what's not when we look at the footage, but we do know that the film is expected to include 15 musical numbers, and most of them are gonna be covers of pre-existing songs with the opportunity to feature 1 or 2 original songs, and this probably means that Lady Gaga is actually gonna be singing. One thing that we can say when it comes to the trailer is that Harley Quinn is not actually a therapist that is helping Joker. She seems to be one of the patients like Arthur Fleck himself, and this is a bit of a change, like that part of the Joker from the comics, from the original animated show as well. I feel like it's a good idea just to give it a different spin, mostly because we've seen that story being adapted in Suicide Squad quite a long time ago, and I feel like people don't really the toxic relationship part. It's been explored quite a lot already, and we've had the story of the emancipation of Harley Quinn thanks to Margot Robbie. So I'm pretty sure that this movie does not want to talk about any of that stuff, so their love story is probably not going to be that toxic, and it's going to be quite consensual and quite fun as well. I find it quite fascinating that we created this incel hero with Joker a couple of years ago, and now we're finally finding a girlfriend card for the Joker, which means that all the incels out there are gonna be wondering, when is my time going to be? What if I can be emo and weird and toxic like the Joker? Am I destined to find a woman like Lady Gaga? Why not? Maybe it's possible. But as I said, we don't know anything else about it. Of course, Todd Phillips is back directing and it's coming out on October 4th. And honestly, just by looking at the footage, I'm really looking forward to it right now.
You're a fucking movie star.
Another trailer that got released is Ty West's Maxxxine, which is the third movie in his weird horror trilogy. Honestly, the story seems quite cool, and this was the thing that worried me the most, especially when he was pitching this trilogy and we were imagining what was going to happen after the movie X. And now it seems to be like it's going to be a completely different story, with maybe Maxxine's backstory being related to what happened in the previous film. And I like that because it's going into a new direction and we're gonna be exploring something completely different. I can really dig the 80s vibes coming off this trailer. It really reminds me of GTA Vice City as well. We gotta look at a lot of other performances like Lily Collins, Giancarlo Esposito. But if you'd like to know more, Maxxxine is the only survivor of the massacre that we saw in the movie X, and she sets out for fame and success in the 1980s Los Angeles while being stalked by a killer known as the Night Stalker. It's coming out on July 5th in our cinemas, and honestly I'm really looking forward to it because this seems like there is quite a lot of plot going on, a lot of fun visuals, and a lot of gore and scares as well. It's very difficult to market horror films and not to show everything on screen, and with this trailer here you could really tell that they're just showing us the very bare surface of this story. And honestly I'm really looking forward to it, especially because Maya Goth is a really good actress, and her performance of Maxxxine looks completely different from what she did in X and Pearl, so I'm really excited. Now let's head into our bonus news. This is the moment where I try to rapid fire as many news about the movie and TV industry as fast as possible so that you can go back to your lives.
Finally!
Let's start by talking about the trailer of a movie called Fly Me to the Moon, which is directed by Greg Berlanti, who you might know because he's worked on The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, You, Riverdale, Doom Patrol, and so many other teen-oriented TV shows. Fly Me to the Moon is a romantic comedy, and it follows the relationship between a marketing specialist and a NASA employee during the 1960s space race, and is starring Scarlett Johansson and of course Channing Tatum. I really like these concepts when it comes to romantic comedies. I feel like we need to develop those way more instead of trying to tell romantic stories in our contemporary time, just because there are so many different stories that you can tell just by traveling in time. We finally have a trailer for the remake of the movie Speak No Evil. The original came out in 2022 and it was a Danish movie, and this new American edition is directed by James Watkins, who you might know because he worked on Eden Lake and The Woman in Black, and it's gonna be starring James McAvoy. It's coming out on September 13, and I have zero expectations when it comes to this movie. Actually, I know that this is going to be bad. If you just look at the trailer, literally all of the plot twists are on screen for you. This is the classic, like, trying to make a foreign movie as palatable and as understandable as possible to American audiences. It's literally screaming at you, you're stupid, so we have to translate this movie scene per scene, shot by shot, so you can understand it. And to be honest, Speak No Evil was not like a very weird art house horror movie. It was just a normal indie movie that happened to be shot in the Danish language. I'm not gonna watch it, I'm not gonna support it, and honestly I hope that you do the same. Just watch the original, it's so much better and creepier. Breaking news, we have a poster and a date for Velma Season 2. I thought that this was incredibly badly received from critics, audiences, fans, everyone on the internet, but apparently Max still wants to keep going with it. We also have a trailer of a movie called Young Woman and the Sea, which is adapting a book of the same name, and it tells the story of Gertrude Ederle, an American swimming champion who first won a gold medal at the 1924 Olympic Games and who attempts to swim the 21 miles across the English channels. It's coming out in cinemas and later on it's gonna be moved to Disney Plus, and it is starring Daisey Ridley. Honestly, it seems quite quite cool. I don't really know whether I'm going to go to the cinema just for this. This is the kind of movie that is perfectly fine to watch at home. But you do you. We also know that Monarch Legacy of Monsters is renewed for a second season, even though I know absolutely no one on earth who has watched it. And Apple TV Plus apparently is working on other Monsterverse series for no reason whatsoever. I guess they need something to work on because nobody owns Apple TV Plus. We also have a Jim Henson's documentary which is coming out quite soon on March 31st. It's gonna come out on Disney Plus and it's directed by Ron Howard, and it's gonna be chronicling the life of the famous puppeteers from his early years with the Muppets and Sesame Street up until The Dark Crystal. Now let's move to my favorite segment of the week, which is called And for Something Weird. This is the moment of the week where I talk about something weird that happened within pop culture, movie and TV industry, all put together for the most memorable news ever. And this week I'm talking about something quite weird. Here is a poster for a comic series which is called What If Donald Duck Became Wolverine, and it will debut on July 31st, and apparently this series is gonna be including Mickey, Hawkeye and Goofy Hulk as well. It's really hard to imagine those crossovers, but why not at the end of the day? Back in Italy we had Paperi Nick, which was basically a mix of Batman and Donald Duck, of course, so why not at the end of the day do it internationally as well? If you're Italian, you know that this has been done already. But anyways, those are all the news that I had for you for this week. Tune in next Monday for more movie and TV news. I'm Patrick and this is Torn Apart News.
Back in the 90s, I was in a very famous TV show.